Hi, my name is Bavin. I'm a certified forest therapy guide. I live in Invermere, British Columbia. And today I'd like to invite you out for a walk, a particular kind of walk where we give ourselves a rested brain, where we get the opportunity to engage with some calmness, to reduce some of the anxiety and stresses that we're living at this time on our planet. And I would first like to just speak shortly about the history of forest therapy. It originated in Japan, and it was really over observation of centuries that in 1982, the Japanese developed a research lab to start collecting data to specifically look at the interactive relationship, or almost like what we call our partnership that we have with our senses and nature. And it wasn't until 2004 that they were able, with the advancement of technology and neuroscience, to start a process of accumulating and quantifying and qualifying the measurements that they were finding in this relationship between ourselves and nature. And it's trees like this guy here, this Doug fir that I'm leaning up against, the needle trees that that offer a chemical, what they call phytoncides, which is their natural method of dealing with incoming bugs or fungi that may do them harm. And it was discovered that these chemicals, these phytoncides, also had an astounding interaction with us. And so this is where the concept of Shinrin-yoku came from, what they call forest bathing. It's this idea of bathing in the phytoncides of the forest. We also then, through Amos Clifford, who's based out of California, who's the founder of the Association of Nature and Forest Therapy Guides and Programs. He has now established what is the foremost form of guide training that we have in the world today. And Amos's main goal was to introduce a guiding methodology that would connect with healthcare. And so that's what, to this day, he is pursuing, as we all are as guides. Now, about forest therapy, it's a very fundamental process, and it's the concept of really the forest as a therapist, and the guide merely is opening doors and creating very simple invitations for you to go out into the forest and engage your senses with the forest. And there's no right or wrong to this practice. And really, it's all about bringing us into the present, bringing us into this moment of what we hear so much of, the now. So is that what that will do is calm the brain, which I will speak of shortly, and all of the assets that has in calming the brain. We all have an ancestor that started life in either the forest or perhaps along the ocean or near the desert. And our initial brain development was with the evolution of living outdoors. We all started somewhere with a tree canopy, perhaps, as a roof. The walls were woven between trees with twigs and mud and moss. No kitchen, no sinks, no toilets. We totally established ourselves on a basis of survival. and very much of an animal-based, animal instinct, where we learned to deal with threats, and mostly one threat at a time, one cougar, one bear, one elephant. Um, and with that development came a trigger or a switch in our brain that at a time of stress or threat or fear, that switch would go on. And what it would be doing is producing hormones for us, producing cortisol and adrenaline that would give us that strength and ability to take flight or to fight, or in some cases to freeze. So, based on what was happening in that instance, it was a very, very valuable, and is today a very valuable part of our brain. Now, as time has come on to us, we now have a newer part of the brain, and this newer part is our executive brain. It's our brain that solves our problems. It's our brain that deals with rationale and good reason. The only thing that still continues to happen is if a situation of anxiety or stress comes along, that old switch will come on and it will take us into flight or fight or freeze once again. Now, at this point in our evolution, over this last 15 to 20 years, we have very much become highly, highly stimulated with the information age, with technology, and especially digital technology. And so this switch is literally on all the time. We are in a constant state of fear and anxiety and stress. So we no longer are dealing with one bear or one cougar at a time. We are dealing with a jungle full of what is causing us to be overwhelmed, overly anxious. And so this is where force therapy really comes in and does its work. It's the whole idea of shifting out of the brain and letting it relax. And if we can let the brain relax, then our central nervous system, our vagus nerve, will calm, which then calms all of our organs, and especially it calms the lungs and the heart. And if we're calming the heart, we are reducing our heart rate. We are expanding our ability to spread out our heartbeat, what they call the heart rate variability. And it turns our blood pressure to lower. It is huge, especially in conjunction with these phytoncides. If we can get the phytoncides and the calmness of this practice working together, it's incredibly powerful for our immune system. It's incredibly powerful for our natural killer cell development, our white blood cell development and accumulation and strengthening, which then helps us to fight all of these diseases and especially cancer. So what I would like to suggest is let's do this very simple sensory exercise of getting us into the present moment. So let's do a nice simple exercise here. And you can do this from home. You could do this with a plant in your house. You could do this looking out a window, and especially if you were lucky enough to have a view of a nearby park or the neighbor with trees, out on your deck or on your balcony. In the yard is more ideal, and if you're able to get out into the forest, then obviously you're getting the full value. I find that what you want to do is get a spot that's comfortable. We call it a sit spot, where you can just get yourself relaxed. I'm using the tree as a little bit of a backrest, and I have a little pad that I'm sitting on, so I'm super comfortable. And I find that it's really important to actually get your sitting bones well settled. Get them into a state of comfort and straighten that back up. I guess I'm going to take my slouch away. And it's like pulling a bit of a thread up and extending the neck and getting yourself just in a good posture. Now, I find that in doing this exercise, it's really important to do it with your eyes closed. Because of our visual sense, it's very interruptive if you're trying to work with your other senses. So I like to close my eyes, and I will do through this whole process, and I always do, so as I can be focused. And it's a bit of just starting with a breath. And many people have their own technique of breath, whether it's with yoga or meditation. So let's just take a few minutes and just breathe. And I find that breathing in and holding a little, letting the belly expand a bit, breathing out and relaxing the shoulders, hold a bit, breathing in. So let's just go ahead and use whatever you use. You can already start to sense a shift away from what we call that tamed world into this more liminal world. I'm going to start by what can I hear? And what can I hear that's in the distance? I can hear a bit of a gentle breeze. And not far away, a beautiful little creek that I know is there. I actually think I hear a far-off jet. And when I come closer, what do I hear? I can hear my breath going in and out of my nose and my mouth. And I go to my nose, my most primal sense. What do I smell? You may choose to sniff or tilt your head up like the bear or the dog knows. I get a sense of the forest. I always carry something in my hand, a little stick. What does it smell like? What about the back of my hand? Salty. Or my palm. sense of dryness. Notice if you touch your nose on anything, how delicate and sensitive it is with texture. The nylon on my coat smells shiny. And we go to taste. My tongue, I can sense texture and form. And the taste is very sterile, very dry. And again, what about the back of my hand? Quite a rich flavor. And my coat again, I mean, texture is very synthetic, quite tasteless. Bit of a breath. And now I go to touch. Our skin is the biggest organ of our body. And right away, I know the sun is over here. I can feel the heat. I also know the wind is traveling with the sun. It's hitting me on this side of the face. So I have the leeward side and the shadow side. Now I can really touch and I can sense this little stick. Its roundness, its texture, its temperature. I can touch my eyelid and it is a very soft texture of skin. Much more so than for us men with our stubble. When our lips are almost like a shell coating. I take my finger and I press on my cheekbone, I get pressure. If I use my fingernail, I get pain. And just touching, warmer here, cooler there. And then texture. Your hair. And now, I would like you, keeping your eyes closed, to raise your eyebrows. And notice how much more light is coming in. And then let's use the idea of the painter's squint, the artist's squint, to very slowly open your eyes, and you get a little bit of light coming and shadow and shape coming, and then open your eyes. Oh. It's our eyes that we value the most of our senses. Look at the motion. And as I look up, I'm in a fir forest. And there's quite a bit of motion, but we're in a little hidden gully. There's not too much sound. And then as I look to sky, which we so rarely do, I'm seeing some beautiful cloud formations. So here we are. We're now into this much more relaxed, what we call the liminal state, much like a yoga state. And we'll now go on to our next little invitation. So let's go on with our next invitation, which is our heartfelt sense, that sense that comes with the heart. And what I would like to do is, as I'm doing now, is close your eyes and take and turn your palms outward. And all we're going to do is start a slow rotation. And if you just focus, now that you're in this nice, calm state, focus on a sense of something tingling your fingers or perhaps tugging at your heart. Just a bit of a lure. Take your time. Now I feel here, my fingers are tingling a little, a bit of a sense of tugging with the heart. So you ask yourself, with your eyes still closed, what is it that I will be noticing when I open my eyes? What am I noticing? I'm actually facing a viewing of the mountains and the trail that is coming here. So here's what we call the popcorn. Just say out loud, what is it right now that you're noticing? Birds. Motion in trees. Sound of water. So our next invitation is what we call walking in motion. And that is literally what we will do. We will do a very, very slow walk. So because this is a virtual walk, I won't be actually leading you. But if I were, I would be asking you to please not pass me, to just stay somewhere behind me and space yourselves well from person to person, especially now with our social distancing. And again, like there's no right or wrong way to do this at all. It's a purpose of just making you go slow and to use your senses. So we will do this in silence. And if I was present, you have questions, I'm sorry, but I would not be answering questions till later. That would be interruptive to the walk. So what I would like to do is just, I'm going to wander off. Let's make this walk about 15 minutes. If you want to go off the trail to observe something, feel free to do that, but please just keep yourself in view of the person in front of you so that we all keep moving at this slow pace. Okay, so here we go. Okay, everyone, let's gather our things. Let's gather our water bottles and get that into our day pack that's got your snack and whatnot. And let's start this nice slow walk. So I just would like to express the importance of repetition. Like everything else, whether you're a golfer, a skier, a bike rider, it doesn't really matter what it is you do. You will do it more efficiently and get good results by repetition. So I really strongly recommend that you take this video and you maybe write a few notes. And if you have to use your phone, for a few of them, do so. But then I would strongly suggest no phone. We're trying to get away from the digital technology on these walks. So, yeah, I would suggest that whenever you can, you should try to get out a couple of times a week, just like I say, perhaps in your own backyard. Our association has taken a very stringent approach on this. We are allowed, we're given permission to continue to do walks, but it needs to be with one or two people only and with proper social distancing. So please, if you are interested to go out and do the real thing, we're looking at 3.5 hours for an outing. Please contact me. You can catch me at pat@bavinglass.com is my email, or go to my website, patbavin.com, and you will find a lot of information about me and the practice on that website. Thank you.